Okay, so we've determined that my my left engine does not start. The battery has a full charge. I'm not sure how to test the starter, but I'm going to see if I can do everything that any amateur should know how to, or at least try to do, before paying huge money to have somebody else come and try to fix general mistakes. And right now what I'm going to do is just spray WD-40 and see if I can get rid of any corrosion and lime, and see if that fixes it. That'd be a dream. And maybe that'll resolve some other issues all around the boat, with wiring not being connected, or maybe it won't, but we will see.
Take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on.
Alright, and we just let that sit for 10 minutes. Wipe it off and see if this thing starts. Alright, let's try it out. Let it sit for a bit and did what I knew how to do. Here we go. And it's still broken. So, trying to figure out what that noise means. Yay. Okay, well, I think we're nearing the end of this whole boat adventure. Costs have begun to stack up and stack up and stack up, and it's not really looking realistic that I'm going to be going to Bahamas or anything, and so the next step would presumably be wrapping around to Miami, or excuse me, to maybe Tampa, and then continuing up the west coast of Florida. But again, these expenses are piling up and it's getting a little cumbersome, so I've figured I'm gonna list the boat for sale. And one of the big challenges right now is one of the two engines doesn't work. It took forever to be able to find somebody to come and check it out, and the issue is now pretty much assuredly that one of the head gaskets, the head gasket is blown, and water's seeped into the oil, and that's why the engine doesn't start anymore. And apparently that's considerably more expensive fix than just replacing a battery, unfortunately. But we're still figuring out what that's all about. And so until then, I only have one engine to operate on, the starboard or right engine. And the pump out doesn't work at my current marina, and so I have to drive a couple miles to a nearby marina on the weekend now to go and just clean out my boat. First time I've done the pump out all by myself. Really pretty stuff. So my boat is about to get listed for sale. Right now, the port engine head gasket is busted. Water has gotten into the oil, and that's why it won't start. Apparently, the cost of fixing that is supposed to be over $3,000. All right, so just like it started, it ends the same way with me in a vehicle, not a boat, driving to whatever's next, with now 2 cats. Let's see. There's Yanni. He's watching the road, making sure we get to Tampa safely. Kumo is the beta, the shy one, hiding. I think he found a super secret hiding spot, so he's all good. But the boat, the port engine was essentially fried. It was basically going to be something that I would have to pay a ton, potentially $12,000 just for an engine. Who knows if there's then tax on that as well. Then the labor to put it in, including getting the boat taken out of the water and then put back in the water. And then whoever knows what other charges they might throw on top of that. So it's safe to say I probably would end up having to spend at least 3/4 of the cost of the boat to just get one of the 2 engines replaced, the other one working just fine. But I ended up listing the boat for sale in a few spots. Craigslist kept deleting it. I think Craigslist is just trash at this point. Posted it on an actual legitimate boat site, and then I just posted it on, and I had to pay for the legitimate boat site, $60. And then I posted it on Facebook, and Facebook, wow, I posted it there yesterday, and I basically had to copy and paste the responses that I was giving to people, because I think I got at least 50 people to respond. Probably some of them are just gonna say, yeah, send me this money to, or here's my payment, sign away the boat, and then turns out the payment doesn't come through, whatever. So I made very clear that it has to be a legitimate payment source, PayPal or Venmo or just cash. And after I started trying to schedule people to come by, after there was like 30 people, I just said, all right, here's a gap of time, 3-hour gap. Come during then, check it out, and if you're there, I'll show it to you. And I think about 30 people expressed that they were going to come, and the very first person that came ended up buying it. I think this is actually a good way to put pressure on people to buy immediately, is if there's a whole bunch of people cycling through and checking out your boat or whatever you're selling, they'll realize that, number one, they can't lowball you, and number two, it's, time sensitive, get it or they won't get it, essentially. And so I was able to get the price I was asking, and multiple people attempted to lowball me online. I just immediately shut them down. I wasn't going to deal with that. But I think that's also part of the culture in Miami, is I would say, the lowball is part of it, but it's because a lot of the people there are from, Caribbean cultures where bargaining is much more common. And so, and some people on Facebook just always do that, but I didn't really want to bother with that. Number one, I didn't even have the time to talk about scheduling, much less going back and forth on pricing and having to do with everybody's fake drama for bargaining. Whatever. Boat is sold now. So, boat life adventure finally, or ultimately, comes to an end. Virginia to Miami, it's been a blast, and now my thought is to keep going. On one end, I can save money. Ends up the boat life costed money, certainly. So I'll get to save money now, and I'm going to start just living in this van, or man, down by the river. In my truck, I'm going to go and live in different cities. We'll try out Tampa. That is where we are headed now, to Tampa, Florida. I'm going to find some short-term housing. Apparently this has become a big thing, so finding reasonably priced furnished housing, apartment, condo, whatever it is. And yeah, I'll have to come up with a new name for the adventure, but boat life adventure has concluded for me, and now it's on to the next big adventure.